Hola bonitas, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review and wear test on this new Revlon Flex Wear Full Cover Concealer. I am very excited to do this review for you guys. You guys know I love a good concealer, especially when it's drugstore. So we're going to go ahead and get right into this. Apply this on the under eyes, see how this works for the entire day, y a ver cómo nos va. So keep watching. I purchased this on Amazon and it arrived pretty quickly. I did pick this up in the shade 30 Light Medium. So let's read a little bit about this concealer, shall we? It says, don't fake it, flex it. Revlon Color Stay Flex Wear Full Cover Concealer with Adaptive Flex It technology delivers 100% full coverage finish that is comfortable and breathable with hyaluronic acid to hydrate and help moisture, plus vitamin E to nourish skin as it conceals. It's non-creasing, non-drying feel, 24-hour wear, and it's available in 16 long-lasting shades. So we're going to be putting this to the test because I love the fact that it's 100% full coverage. A ver cómo nos cubre esto. Let's see how it covers the under eyes. It also is a 24-hour wear, transfer resistant plus fade resistant. And it does contain clay to smooth and prime, hyaluronic acid to hydrate and help moisture, and vitamin E to nourish the skin. Foot applicator también se ve así. It is a more matte finish. And I'm just gonna be applying it right here. This is the shade Light Medium 30. Como les dije. Honestly, I hope it's not too light, but we shall see. Feels creamy, doesn't feel too thick and heavy. So we're gonna be applying this in two ways, one with a sponge and one side with a brush to see how it performs the best. And I'm just going to be tapping this and blending it into the skin. Now the sponge isn't too damp, it's like slightly damp, very slightly damp. But let's see. It's blending pretty nicely. It does feel like a more matte consistency in my opinion. Like I can definitely feel that it's a little bit thicker. It doesn't feel thicker like on the skin, but it definitely has a more thicker full coverage texture. I feel like we don't need too much of this. And of course, because I am somebody that creases no matter what, I am gonna go in and set the under eyes. I'm gonna be taking my favorite powder, the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder. And I'm just gonna go ahead and set that just directly on the under eye. So now that we have that, we are going to just wait a little bit so that we can go ahead and do the side so I can show you guys the difference on how it looks. So here's the thing, I feel like this consistency does have good pigment obviously, but I do feel like you kind of have to like brush it through once or twice to go ahead and kind of get that super pigmented consistency. And then when you blend it out, like this is when I feel like it feels like a thicker consistency when you're blending it out. It's a little bit tacky and it is a little bit, it's not too hard to blend, but you definitely do have to press, like really press to get the product to just do its thing. Like I said, it definitely does feel like a tacky consistency. So you want to work pretty fast with this because I do feel like this dries a little faster. Honestly, I feel like this color is pretty good for my complexion right now. Like I said, this is my winter complexion, so it is going to be a little bit lighter than what I would typically wear in the summer. Especially also if you do like brightening. There was a while, especially during the summer, where I didn't really care for brightness on my under eyes. I kind of wanted everything to kind of match. So I would pick a concealer that was closer to my foundation shade. But now that we're in winter, I definitely do appreciate a little bit of some brightness. I feel like it kind of wakes up the eye. So that's why I do it that way. But let's go ahead and dust it away, see how it did with our powder. Like I said, the powder is a step that I personally cannot skip out on because I just crease badly no matter what. So it looks all right. I definitely don't think the product's separated, which is a good thing, but I definitely will say, because this is a more full coverage concealer, you just have to be mindful of not going in with too much powder, because I feel like if you go in with too much, it can start to give you a little bit of a more like more makeup-y type of finish, like a more cakey look. So I think that's enough. But you guys can see the difference between having the concealer on and not having anything on. I definitely do feel like it covers any of those imperfections that you may have under the eyes. I don't have too much darkness under my eyes. I feel like it's more so aquí, like in this little area. But I mean, obviously it wakes up the eye quickly. So we have that. And I think on this side, I'm gonna take a little bit more. Actually, maybe not too much more, but just a little bit more, because I just remember that we are going in with we are going in with a brush on this side, and usually brush, you get more pigmentation. So I'm just going to be pressing this product into the skin, así. And for this brush, I am using the House Labs concealer brush. I really like this House Labs concealer brush. I feel like it's the perfect brush for concealer. It presses the product in so nicely. Not only that, but I also feel like it's the perfect shape for the under eye. Concealer, where we went in with a little bit more, is definitely giving us pigment. So I do kind of appreciate the fact that it's customizable in the way where if you go in with more product, you'll get more pigment. If you go in with a little bit less, you'll still get good pigment, but it's not gonna be as intense. But you guys can see just going with a little bit more, nos dio el pigmento, like, wow. And a lot of brightness right there. So I am gonna go ahead and just take the sponge, because I do wanna kind of marry this into my skin tint. I don't want it to look too, like, of a harsh line between the two. So I'm just gonna marry that together, but I mean, wow, brightness. Light medium 30, I feel like this is more so for the person who does want a very bright look. If you're around my complexion, if you don't care for too much brightness, I would go a shade up, because this is definitely bright. I mean, it looks great. I feel like it looks like I'm very awake, but you can see the difference. So now that we have that, we are gonna go in again with El Polvo. I find that concealers are a little bit more full coverage and thicker in consistency. I like to make sure I don't use too much powder. I just apply exactly where I need it. For me, it's the creases, because that's where I have like the most issues, right there. So we're just gonna leave it at that. And I think I do want to go ahead and apply this kind of in the midsection of the face, just to kind of, you know, see how it does by itself. I feel like this is one of those products that personally I could see myself using on its own. Let's say on a day where I don't want to wear foundation or skin tint or just like an overall base, I just kind of want to spot conceal. I think this would be good, because I feel like with this product, it does give you good enough coverage, which you guys clearly saw de este lado. Like, it gives you that really good coverage that you can go in and, you know, get more pigment than your average. Now I can go ahead and take off the powder de este lado, and I think it did good too there. So you guys can kind of clearly see what we have going on here. So this is the side where we went in with more product. This is the side where we went in with the usual amount that I personally like to go, which isn't too much, but I definitely do feel like this side looks more like, whoa. This is like, I'm going out for the evening. I want a full glam. This is more so like every day. And I feel like you can kind of even see it. This side does look a little bit more lightweight than this side. This side looks a little bit more full coverage. More like, you know, glam. But what are you guys thinking? What I'm gonna go ahead and do now is finish off the rest of my makeup, finish getting ready, and then I'm gonna come back and give you guys my very first initial thoughts on how this looks, how it wears for a little bit. I'm gonna let both sides set, sink into the skin, and then we can begin this wear test, because I am very curious to see how this is gonna do. But so far, not bad. Not bad at all. I will say, maybe because I've been so used to like all the natural concealers, very lightweight, more hydrating concealers, this one, because it's more full coverage, I'm like, whoa, like what's going on? But I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this is gonna work. Oh, you know what I forgot to mention? The price. How could I forget that? That's like the most important part. So this does retail for $12.99. So again, it's an affordable product. That's kind of what we have going on. I'm gonna finish off the rest of this look y ahorita regreso, so stay tuned. Ya regresé, I am back, and this is what the concealer looks like once everything is on and in place. It looks really nice. I like the fact that it is giving me that really good brightness. Again, like I mentioned, the shade 30 light medium is definitely a more brightening shade for me. Honestly, I do like it, but for me lately, I have been into shades that kind of are more so of a match to my complexion. If anything, it gives me a more awake look, and it is early. It is 8:56 a.m., so obviously I do want a more brightened effect, but this is just what it's looking like. Something else I do want to point out is that I do feel like I like the side where we went with less product a little bit better. I feel like it kind of is more of a seamless blend, as opposed to when I went with more product. I feel like you can tell that I do have more product on this side. So that's just something to keep in mind. Like I mentioned, this is a more full coverage product. So you do want to make sure that you like less is more with this. It's buildable, it's customizable in terms of you can build it up to give you that like really extreme coverage, but I would say that it does give you more floor coverage faster than you think. Something else, I still have it on the back of my hand here, and it definitely does dry down to like a more like matte finish. And in my opinion, it dries down fast. So you definitely want to blend it out fast. I wouldn't say, you know, put concealer on both sides and then blend on this side and then go back to this side, because I feel like it will dry down fast. It kind of reminds me of how the Makeup by Mario one dries down, where it's a little bit faster. So you just kind of want to work on one side at a time, so that you don't have to be like, oh, it's drying too fast, or it dried down already. So that's just something to keep in mind. But other than that, I think it looks pretty nice. It feels lightweight, it doesn't feel heavy. It didn't impact any of the other products on mi carita, my face. So that's definitely a good thing. It is 8:57 a.m. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm going to carry on with the rest of my day, and then I'll come back at the end of the day for my final thoughts. And as always, I'll do a natural lighting clip so you guys can see how this looks with a natural light up close and personal, porque eso sí importa. And I have to say, honestly, I do like how it looks on both sides right now. Actually, okay, now that I'm looking at it up close, I do feel like on the side where we went with more product, it does look a little bit more heavier. This side looks a little bit more lightweight, so that's just something to know. But I already mentioned earlier that I do think that the side with less product looks a little bit better, a little bit more natural, healthier. And for me, to be completely honest, I do have more so of like dry undries. Like if I set my under eyes with powder, lock them in, like they're staying matte all day long. Like that's like the only area of my skin that isn't oily. Everything else gets very oily fast, but that will still somehow stay matte. So I would say stuff like this for me, when it's full cover, more of a matte finish, I like to tread lightly with it, not too much product, because then I feel like it'll start to kind of look a little heavy on the under eye and separate a little bit. But that's not to say that this can't work for somebody else or that it's not gonna do its job. So I'm gonna go ahead and wear this for the day, and I'll keep you guys posted. Okay, bonitas, so here is the in natural lighting clip for you guys. As you guys can see, this is what we look like. I feel like in natural lighting, the brightness doesn't look as enhanced as it may with like the studio lights, which is why I love doing these in natural lighting clips, because I feel like now it looks way more seamless. So I'm happy we did this. But I think this looks very, very pretty. Miren. Looks nice. I definitely do feel like I like this side where we went in with less product more than the side where we went in with more product. I don't know why, but I just feel like it looks a little heavier. What do you guys think? More product, less product. This is one of those products that I'm like, I like it, pero no sé. I need to see how it's gonna do for the whole day. So I will see you guys later. It is 9:07 p.m. and this is what the under eyes look like right here. So we are wearing the Revlon Flex Wear Full Cover Concealer. This is the side where we went in with more concealer. And honestly, through the day, it definitely did look like I had more product on this side. And then this side is where we went with less product, but this is my more creasy eye. And you guys can see there is a little bit of creasing. And I have noticed that my under eye will crease a little bit more when I am wearing a heavier product. And I definitely do think this is a more fuller coverage consistency, which is not a bad thing, but I think you have to be very specific with how you apply it. If you do crease a lot like me, sometimes those thicker consistencies can separate a little bit, as opposed to when you have a more lightweight concealer, it tends to just sit really nicely on the under eye. So just keep in mind, you do have to blend this faster than typical because this does dry down pretty fast. So that's just something to note. I also would say with this, less is more, unless you do want like that super full coverage result, because it does give you a lot of coverage and a lot of pigment. And I think that if you're somebody that does have more so of like those oily under eyes, I think this will be great because it is more so that matte formula. For me, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't my absolute favorite. You guys know I love Revlon, but I just feel like for my under eye, next time I probably would use much less product. I would maybe use this more so to like spot conceal on those days where I don't want to wear a skin tint or foundation and I just want to wear this. I think it does offer good coverage, but I think to like really go to town with my concealer, it doesn't work the best for me just because I do have dry under eyes and I do crease very easily, and you guys can see kind of how that creasing is. Those are pretty much my thoughts. I hope that this video was super helpful for you guys. Let me know if you will be checking out this new Revlon Flex Wear Full Cover Concealer. I want to know all the teas. And I think that's pretty much it. So I will be seeing you guys very, very soon for a brand new video. Adios, bonitas.